From the high desert to Roswell, New Mexico, from the Great Lakes to San Francisco, let's ride. We want to ride shotgun with you for the next hour, talking trucking with Deaton and Doty. How's it going, everybody?
What's up?
Doing good.
Today on the show, as usual, Ray Nieto in San Antonio, Texas. What's up, Ray?
Hey, not much, man. Here getting loaded, man.
Yeah.
Trying to get rolling.
Jim Mackey. Jim, where you at?
I'm sitting at home in Brenham.
Oh, that's right. Kevin.
Yeah.
Where you at, buddy?
I'm sitting at home too in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Everybody's at home.
Must be nice.
The fuel prices are too high.
Let's roll.
Here in the studio, Ian Dunlap on the news. It's Trucking News with Ian. And our producer, Zach Kern. Joel Howell on sports. And, as always, the famous Kumar.
Hello.
And as you can see on screen, the Super Bowl 50 champion with the Denver Broncos, Louis Vasquez. Welcome, Louis. Thanks for joining us again. It's been about a year.
Absolutely, man.
Episode
Anytime
4.
I get to sit down and take a break from what I'm doing for the day, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah. It was great having you on a year ago, and it's just nice to talk to you again. How's Prime Wellness and Performance? It was just starting when we talked a year ago.
Yeah, it's we're picking up, man. Anything starting from the ground up, it's a process, but we're starting to put together a great team around us. And that's the biggest part, man. You got a great team that's working towards the same goal, the same vision. It just makes your life a lot easier. So we have tons of, we're putting the right pieces in the right places, and we're picking up steam, and especially with summer right around the corner, we're picking up, man. Everybody's, it's spring's already here, and people are like, oh hell. We need to get beach ready or bikini ready, and so like that's what we're here for, man.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I saw that Goldberg is one of your clients now. That's really cool. I saw the video.
Sir.
Yeah. So was he wrestling after I watched that? He mentioned he had a match coming up or something, so he was going there to.
That was last year. He had a wrestling match, I think, out in Dubai, somewhere out there. But he called me. He was like, "Hey, man, I need you to make me young again. I'm wrestling 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
I need everything." So we got him hooked up, and the NAD stuff, man. I live and die by it. It helped me not only when I was playing in the NFL, but also life after football. I was diagnosed with extreme depression and anxiety, and it helps with neurological issues you may be dealing with, TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. Depression, anxiety, and they originally started using it for addiction, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So it's basically complete cellular restructure. It's a naturally occurring coenzyme in the body that's what your mitochondria in each cell is. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of each and every cell in your body. But what feeds the mitochondria is the NAD. So if those levels get depleted, it starts setting off a chain reaction, right? Or domino effects, and your body stops working efficiently. Hormones get out of whack. The aging process speeds up, and so on and so forth. So, I used it for two sides. One, sports performance. Second was the issues I was dealing with, the depression, anxiety, and it's been great for our patients. My wife actually used it. They told us she had a thyroid issue. Come to find out, each and every cell has a thyroid receptor, right? Signaler.
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't get to her pre-baby body after having 2 kids to save her life. And then she got on the NAD after being told she had a thyroid disorder, because that medication was screwing her up, didn't help. So I told her to do the NAD. She finally talked her into it, and now she's back down, looking better than ever.
So is it like, is that through an IV? Is that how that?
It's done through an IV. We do have, so there's no replacement for an IV, right? Because it's right to your bloodstream. It's 100% bioavailable. We do have a couple of different options that we can administer it. Those are more for maintenance purposes. We have a gum with NAD, but that's just like a small boost. Sublingual tablets. We have We can do it sub-Q, which is just under the skin. And we have a patch that with a small little electrical charge that draws the NAD into your skin, into your body.
Yeah.
But nothing, you can't. There's nothing that's gonna be better than the IV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I'm really glad your new place is going great. And so, Louis, let's talk some football, man. The draft's coming up. It's exciting. As a Browns fan, the draft was always our Super Bowl of the year, our favorite time of the year. we always were loaded with picks, and this year I'm a little depressed about not even able to do my own mock draft because we don't have a pick until I think number 47. And that's because, as you can see behind Joel, there's Baker Mayfield. It says fired. So Baker's out in Cleveland. Well, he's still here on the roster, but I'm surprised at the way all that went down. And we got Deshaun Watson. I know it's a heavy subject for a lot of people, but he is a top 5 quarterback. He is one of the best in the league.
Right.
And a grand jury threw it out. So I don't know the ins and outs of all that. But, wow, we were shocked here in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's, this time of year in the NFL is always pretty exciting. You got, obviously, free agency, which, there seems to be always a big splash. This year, more so than the previous 2 years. Previous 2 years have been kind of boring,
Yeah.
Other than the Tom Brady change, but
Tom Brady retired, and then he came back, and next thing I was waiting for Peyton to come back.
Yeah, I don't think Peyton's going to be coming back in at all.
He makes too much on those insurance commercials.
Insurance, doing the Monday Night Football with his brother. He's doing everything else, man. He's good, but this year's been exciting. I mean, this past NFL season was probably the most balanced and exciting NFL season I've ever been around.
Yeah.
The playoffs, man, were incredible.
It was.
That's what the playoffs are about. It's do or die, and everybody's, playing for the same goal. And, you just hate to, it's almost like watching a heavyweight boxing match, right? Remember the old Mike Tyson days?
Yeah.
You pay all this money to watch pay-per-view, and then he knocks him out within the first minute, and you're like, what the hell, and that's what it seems like we've been accustomed to seeing the past couple of years during the playoffs. But this year, man, everybody fought tooth and nail. The games came down to the wire. I mean, it could have gone either way, and it was
that Buffalo game, Louis, at Josh Allen and the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo just went back and forth. Everybody, every time they touch the ball, they're scoring,
right.
And I don't know. I think I heard that they're going to change that overtime rule at least for the playoffs because it felt unfair to Josh Allen. He didn't even get a chance to touch the ball in overtime, and then they didn't move on. And what a great team and what a great year they had.
And I respect Andy Reid too for saying what he said. He believed that the overtime rules should change. To give both teams a chance. But the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
So. Until that gets changed, I mean, you got to play your best ball. It is what it is.
Leave it out there, put it out there on the field in the first 60 minutes.
Don't try not to put yourself in that position. It's easier said than done, obviously, but it is what it is.
I think Josh Allen, he was really a stand-up guy after that. That's pretty much what he said. We just got to do what we got to do inside of the first 60 minutes.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, the playoffs were great. Cincinnati, I'm not a Cincinnati fan. I mean, that's the other side of Ohio, but it was cool story to see Joe Burrow come up and second year take his team to the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's ever happened before. I can't remember, but that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's man. I was this football season. I was pumped about, and then you hear all these big stories going on right now. I was expecting Aaron Rodgers to come to the Broncos because one thing I do know about Elway. Is then they have talked before about bringing him in, but obviously Aaron Rodgers decided to stay. And
now
then
you got Russell Wilson.
Yeah, we got Russell Wilson. So, and then he's got a bunch of weapons there on offense now.
Yeah.
So Denver's going to be in the running now. So, pretty excited to see.
soon as that happened, I immediately text Nikki Bissett, our vice president. You've talked to her before, Louis, out at Meadowlark. She's a huge Broncos fan. I'm like, Nikki, you guys are contenders now. You know, Russell Wilson's no joke at quarterback, and, you know, Denver's got weapons, like you said. So, and that AFC, that's the AFC West, right, Louis?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, now you got the Raiders, Denver, Kansas City, and the Chargers. Yeah, I mean, Herbert down there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that AFC West is stacked
tough
with quarterbacks. I mean, it's probably, before the game even starts, probably considered the toughest division in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's a gauntlet, man. It is. You know, every week, you gotta play your best ball. You know, especially with those quarterbacks leading the charge, and you know, most everybody has a pretty good solid defense. Any one of those teams, they're all playoff contenders right now.
Yeah.
Easily.
What's your take on the pro day? I heard a lot of talk in the last few days about the pro day, and like that Malik Willis, the quarterback. I forget what school he came out of, but he's been the talk of Bleacher Report. Liberty, yeah. He's been the talk of Bleacher Report because he's been just throwing bombs at the pro day. Everybody's impressed.
You know, pro day, I was just going to give you my my experience. You know, when I was going through the combine, I popped my plantar fascia in my left foot, I believe. So I wasn't able to run. But had I ran and been able to do the drills, I would have. But, you know, I bench pressed the most out of anybody that year. So when it came to pro day and I was able to run, you know, obviously had to perform, but they wanted me to bench again. And I was like, no, I'm going to sit on my combine, you know. So there was a linebacker from Michigan this year that, you know, he helped his draft stock in the combine. And he went from like a third-round pick to a potential first-round pick. Helps out his stock tremendously. And then what does he do? I guess his agent or somebody instructed him and advised him to perform on pro day.
Is that the guy that got hurt?
And just coming down,
it
didn't look like he came down raw. It was just a freak accident towards his Achilles. And, you know, it sucks, man, because now, I mean, he's going to fall hard, and, you know, nobody's going to want to pick up or draft a hurt player.
Did he get hurt in the combine or the bowl game?
It was the pro day.
Pro day. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just like a week ago or early this week.
The Ole Miss quarterback went down in the bowl game, and he had high stock.
Yeah.
So he should have just you know,
stuck with
requested to not perform and stood on his combine results. I mean, you do not have to perform at the pro day. Pro day is there if you didn't perform well at the combine to kind of help your stock out. But if you've already helped it out tremendously, going from a third round to potential first round pick, dude, I'm chilling. You know, there's no point, no need. My experience is a little different because I got hurt before the combine happened. But yeah, man, it's just I don't know if he got bad advice or he went against his advice, but you know that's
heartbreaking for that kid, you know, that guy to see it.
Louis, did you get hurt at Texas Tech in your senior year? Was it 2008?
I did, yeah. My first game, opening drive. Our running back got tackled on the back of my left ankle, and I got up, and you know you're full of adrenaline and stuff. My ankle doesn't feel right, but it didn't hurt, and I kept playing. It just felt like my ankle was flopping around everywhere, right? I go to the sideline, and they're like, it seems like you got a high ankle sprain. I'm like, well, shit, I'm not going to miss my first senior game, my college senior game. So I went inside, shot it up, taped it, braced it, batted it, finished out the game. And, yeah, after that, it was a high ankle sprain, a low ankle sprain, and sprained my Achilles tendon.
You told us about that. Leach was on you. Huh?
Yeah, so I missed a couple games, and I came back earlier than I should. And had it not been for my coach that drafted me in San Diego, Hal Hunter, calling Texas Tech, our trainers, and asking which games was I healthy in and which ones did I play hurt in. And he filtered through the hurt games and got rid of those and wanted to see me play healthy. And halfway through the UT game, we knocked him out for number one. Halfway through, put the remote down, he was like, I want this kid.
Yeah.
You know? And because he can tell that, even off a previous film from the year prior, it was like something just didn't look right with you. I was like, yeah, I was interested during that time. And Leach made me come back earlier than I should have. Leach's deal was, you're not mentally tough and calling us prima donna. I was like, dude, you don't know anything about mental toughness. You have a law degree, and you're over here trying to preach mental toughness and in football. Like, dude, you don't know what this game is about other than, coaching it. But it was very difficult for us to play for somebody like that.
Yeah.
But luckily, I can attest it to the man upstairs. He looked out for me, and I guess put it in my coach's heart to, hey, let's do some more digging because this kid doesn't seem right. And luckily, I went from a potential 4th and beyond round pick, and I got drafted in the 3rd round.
3rd round, 78th overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? These young guys that are coming out this year. I know it's not everybody says it's not a quarterback draft, which it probably isn't. But there's a lot of talent in this draft, I think, just from being a college football fan. And but what are these guys feeling? We're a couple of weeks away from the draft. These guys that are going to go, not just these first rounders, but these later round guys that are not even sure. How are they feeling these days leading up to this draft?
Man, it's a nervous waiting game at this point. For those guys, because you're anxious to know where you're going to go, where you're going to end up, and it's going to alter your life. It's a life-changing deal, whether you stick with that team or not. Just to be inside the NFL locker room, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of nerves going on right now for sure. And I know for me, I had no communication with San Diego. It was the Browns, Steelers, the Eagles, and the Raiders, a little bit of the Bears. But, so the draft is a poker game, man. Nobody's going to show their cards. Nobody's going to give each other hints or anything like that. So you don't potentially steal their draft pick, things of that nature. And it was a complete shock to me that I got drafted by the Chargers. I'm like, cool, I'm going to the beach, but it came out of left field. It really did.
So they didn't even interview you at the combine?
I mean, absolutely no communication whatsoever.
Was that Norv Turner?
Yeah, Norv Turner was a coach then. I love that man. He was a hell of a coach. It was a struggle because with management and them were not didn't work very well together. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of some friends that knew that they weren't going to go any further, that they were at the end of their football career? They were at Texas Tech, and they had the
mostly a lot of guys understand that, and if you're not getting scouted, that this is the last ride, last hurrah. So I mean, a lot of guys still want to continue to train and play, but at some point, like, dude, if you're not getting scouted, it's kind of hard to get in,
I know someone you might know who got in, Michael Crabtree.
Crabtree was drafted.
He was number 10 that year, 2009, San Francisco. Yeah.
I didn't know Matt Stafford was drafted number 1 overall that in an 09 draft. Joel and I were
looking at him? I thought it was
Stafford.
I know them were 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, they might have been 1 or 2, but yeah, he was I think it was Stafford, right, Joel?
Stafford was 1. There were 3 tackles that went top 10: Jason Smith, Andre Smith, and Eugene Monroe, my bad. Can you read my writing? I
actually still talk to Eugene Monroe every now and again. He's a good dude.
Sorry, Eugene.
Where did he get drafted to?
Not the Panthers, Jaguars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he finished his career in Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah, San Diego went defense. I don't think they had very many early draft picks, did they? You were like the second one they picked.
So my year, we had a first-round pick, Larry English. They traded away their second-round draft pick, and then it was me.
Yeah.
So I guess technically I was their second pick, but yeah, it was It was a whirlwind. Once I got drafted, they're like, in 2 days you're going to be here. We got rookie minicamp and vet minicamp. Like, wait, I thought I had a little more time than this. They're like, nope, you're on the first thing smoking in 2 days.
Do you think you could have went higher if not for the injury in your senior year?
Well, once I was healthy, I was back to normal. Playing my style of football. Sorry guys, I'm trying to scratch my back here. Big man problems.
Shame you got all those big muscles and you can't touch your back.
Well, this is my bad shoulder, so I just.
Oh, is that why you got the pin? I saw you put the cap on it earlier. Just get that extra leg.
A little extra itch. But yeah, as soon as I get there, I went through the physical and handed me my playbooks. Like, here, rookie, learn this. I was like, what? And I go to meetings, like.
They still hazed back then, huh? 2009.
Big, like 4-inch ring binder of a whole entire playbook. I was like, holy shit, how the hell am I going to learn this, man? But you learn what to filter through, what it pertains to you, what doesn't.
Yeah,
and I think coaches do that to kind of as a scare tactic, see how you're going to respond. But once you break it down, your section, what you got to learn is much smaller, but it's still a lot of information to know.
Yeah. So you, Louis, you and Peyton, you ever run into Peyton these days, or Peyton's one of my favorites.
We haven't gotten out much lately from San Antonio, as much as we like. Last time I saw Peyton in person was at his Hall of Fame induction. What was that, September, August of September sometime? That was in August.
Okay.
That was here.
Yeah, I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually had to drive back. Me and my wife went, and funny story, she has anxiety now with 2 kids, so flying. She used to fly, multiple times a week because the company's on the PGA tour, so she used to fly all over, multiple times a week. And once we had kids, she can't fly no more, so on the way there was a struggle just to keep her calm. On the way back, she was like, babe, I can't get on the flight. So I had to cancel our flight, and we rented a minivan and drove from Canton, Ohio, back to San Antonio, Texas. Dude,
Russ, you would have given you a ride.
Yeah, I would have gave you a ride, Louis. Call me. I'm 20 minutes away. I'll get us a limo.
Man, that was a haul. But the thing about that area is it's beautiful countryside. From that whole Ohio area down in Tennessee, and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So it wasn't that bad until we get to Arkansas, obviously. But it was beautiful because I've driven from Texas to San Diego before, and once you get west of Weatherford, there ain't nothing. It's flat plains and then desert the rest of the way until you get to the beach. Like, dude, this is a miserable drive.
Yeah. So what do you got coming out of the NFC? Louis, give it to us. NFC this year, who do you think wins the NFC championship?
Man, it's kind of hard to beat Brady, honestly. I think Brady's going to talk Gronk into coming back because Gronk has been contemplating retirement. But, those two are two peas in a pod. And
I also saw him working out with Julian Edelman the other day. That was on Bleacher Report. They had the video up. So I was wondering, maybe Julian's going to come back. Go to Tampa.
I mean, you may see him, but I know when Tom first went to Tampa. Yeah, he tried to get Edelman to go, and Edelman was like, "Man, I'm not going to do it."
Yeah, that's another guy I think was in your draft class. Edelman, wasn't he, Joel? I'm pretty sure.
No, Edelman was
probably
not
a walk on. He weighs like 150 pounds.
Yeah,
he's tough as nails, though. Good pair of hands.
So who do you got, Louis, coming out of the NFC? What do you think? T-Bay?
Yeah, I think I got Tampa Bay. I think who else in the NFC? Man, there's the thing about the NFC this year, it's not as strong as the years past.
Right, AFC stacked.
Yeah, the AFC is stacked, man. The NFC, I just can't. I don't see anybody. That strong.
I have to agree. I think if I gave a pick right now, it'd be Tampa Bay. Tom didn't come back to not get one he came
For
back
sure.
to get one.
I'll put $50 on it like I did last year now if you want it.
I'll take it.
I lost money on that last year, Louis. I said that Tampa Bay was going to go all the way,
But I'll take him this year.
And Russ took my $50.
Yeah, I bet against Tom Brady last year, and it worked out for me.
2
But
years in a row.
I don't think so this time. I think that even though their team might not be as strong, I think there's a reason Tom's on a mission.
Right.
He's going to get one.
Play until he's 60.
And so the AFC, who's going to be the AFC champ this year?
Man, it's a toss-up. You
That
really
is.
don't know. If, Pat Mahomes gets his game back, I think that'll be huge, obviously. He just wasn't the same quarterback as he was, years prior, but hopefully he gets that figured out. And he's still going to be an elite quarterback, but to really get back to his full potential would be big, especially for the Chiefs.
Dude, speaking of the AFC West, Louis, it's like, all right, there's 4 great teams now there. Probably 2 of those teams are going to be left out of the playoffs, and they're going to be like really contending teams too. You got San Diego, the Raiders, Denver, Kansas City. 2 of those teams are going to be left out, and that's just mind blowing.
One, probably.
Out of the
sure.
playoffs, yeah. Maybe one.
It's gonna suck though, but that's why they call it any given Sunday. You better better go home, man. So it'll be a fun year to watch football again, and I'm excited for it.
Well, give me it. Who do you think it's going to be? Because we're gonna check with you next year and see if you got it.
Right now, Ian can tell you.
Let's see. It's kind of hard for me to say.
Well, I'm going to go Cleveland.
I'm going NFC. I would put the Green Bay up there.
I took that bet last year.
But AFC, man, I think it's a toss-up.
Definitely
It's
the
going to
Jets.
be.
It's not
It's
going
going
to
to
be.
be between the Broncos
The
or
Bills and the Cowboys.
Who'd you say? Broncos and who?
Broncos or the Bills in AFC.
Broncos or Bills?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Bills. I can see that.
I'll go Cleveland or Denver. That's my pick.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to talk some sports real quick,
Yeah.
Russ?
Yeah. Real quick, and then we'll let Louis get out of here. I know he's got to work someone out.
Okay.
Yeah, I got about a couple more minutes.
All right, Joel, let's have
All
it.
right, what's up, sports fans? Talk a little sports here. We are with Louis Vasquez, former All-Pro.
Vasquez.
I'm sorry, I called the Lou
He's from
Canci-
Alabama, Louis.
I called the Canci crime family Lou Secchi last year. So don't worry about that. NFL trades and deals. Vikes signed outside linebacker Zadarius Smith, 3-year, $42 million. Bucks signed Leonard Fournette, 3-year, $21 million. Falcons trade Matt Ryan to the Colts and get Marcus Mariota. Saints re-signed Jameis Winston, 2-year, $28 million. And the Browns signed Deshaun Watson. We all know about that. Stay tuned. Over in the NCAA, teams are having spring practice across the country right now, different times and dates. That's March and April. In a few weeks, USFL 416 season starts.
That's back?
That's 8 teams. That's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And their championship game is July the 3rd.
Did you see that Tyreek Hill signed with Miami? I just read that
I didn't.
today. That blew my mind.
That.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you missed that one, Joel.
Missed that one.
Well, listen, Louis, I know you got to run. Man, it was great having you back on with us. And we will check with you next year and see if your picks come through.
All right, sounds good,
All
guys.
right.
As always, this is fun. Let me know. I'd love to jump on again and see how the draft turns out, and see how the teams are going during their OTAs and whatnot.
Yeah,
And we'll send you some
keep in-
shirts with some sleeves on it too.
Yeah, we got some Talkin Truckin shirts now. And remember, Prime Wellness and Performance, Louis' place in San Antonio, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Louis.
One-stop shop for health and wellness.
There you go.
And we
Thanks,
still got
Louis.
NBA, NHL,
All right,
March
guys.
Madness, and MLB.
Yep,
Take
you too.
care.
Yeah.
Take care.
Appreciate it, cuz.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we'll see him at the reunion, Ray.
So you want to keep
Yeah.
going, or we cut
Yeah,
off
that's
right there?
cool. Yeah, I knew he had to get out of here. So, Joel, what's up?
All right, NBA, 10 games to go. Over in the East, Miami, Philly, Milwaukee, Boston. Over in the West, Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, Utah. In the NHL, playoffs start May 2nd in the East. Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes lead out west. Colorado Avalanche, and the Calgary Flames. NCAA March Madness this weekend, Sweet 16. Game 1, Gonzaga versus Arkansas. Game 2, Texas Tech and Duke. 3, UCLA and North Carolina, followed by Purdue and St. Peter's. In the other bracket, Arizona versus Houston, Michigan and Villanova, Kansas and Providence, and finally Iowa State and Miami, the Hurricanes in the Sweet 16. And over in Major League Baseball, the lockout is over. Cactus and Grapefruit leagues have begun. Go Braves. And finally, April 2nd in Dallas, we have WrestleMania 38. More on that next week.
And how many games in the NBA we got till playoff time? What, 10?
10 games to go.
Yeah, 10 games to go.
Yep.
Big game tomorrow night. Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers fighting for that last playoff spot in the East. So that's kind of exciting tomorrow night.
All right.
So, Joel, that was pretty cool having Louis on again, right?
That was awesome.
Yeah. I saw that on his site. He has that interview with Goldberg, and that's Joel's hero, I think. I showed
He's from Georgia. Like me.
Is he? You're the same age, too, I think. You and
He's a
Goldberg.
little bit older than me.
Is he?
Yeah. And he was in that match last month, not last year.
Yeah.
This is like 57, and he's still jumping off the top ring.
So, Christian, before we get on to questions with Kumar, we're going to do that. What were you going to – you wanted to ask Joel a trivia or something?
Yeah, of
All right,
trivia of sorts. You know.
Let's do it.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
All right, trucking trivia with Joel House. So it's really just one question, Joel, and it's a lead into things that are trucking. So we obviously have our trucks, and then we've got sports. So I'm going to give you a number of details, and you've got to tell me what event happened, and then I'm going to tell you how a similar event happened here at our terminal this week. So things that we know about trivia that are going to give you a hint. So you can feel free to guess at any point in time. Whenever you find out, the details give it away, then you just go ahead and say, hey, here's what it is.
So if he gets it wrong, if he doesn't know, do the driver?
If he doesn't get this, he should never be on the show again. So this event occurred on March 29th, 1984.
I would say the Olympics in Los Angeles? No?
You have too much knowledge. No, that's not correct.
Okay. March Madness? No.
Nope. You want me to?
Is it sports related or?
It is sports related. It is absolutely sports related. And you had a hint on the first screen of what type of sport it was. So.
Oh, I didn't. I did.
The draft.
That's close. So nope. So your next hint would be that it involved a infuriated Johnny Unitas. What event happened?
I think Elway left the Colts and went to the Broncos. He was drafted and denied. He didn't want to go there.
That is incorrect.
Well, that did happen, but never mind.
Wait, Ian, do you know?
No.
Okay. This happened in the middle of the night, and they did it without notice.
Oh.
Okay, if you don't get this, Joel, I will answer the question for you.
Oh, please, Kevin, please.
The Colts moved.
Nate, yes.
Colts moved to Indy.
Oh,
that is correct.
How did
I was
you
going to say
not
the Browns Colts moved to Indy. Well, I wasn't in Ohio then. Sorry.
Oh man, I've never been more let down. Maybe like when I found out Santa wasn't real. But outside, whoops.
Hold on.
Sorry, kids.
Nate Garner knew that. That was
Yeah,
Nate
he
that
did.
spoke up.
Good job.
Yeah.
Nate.
That's great.
That's his hometown.
Well, Johnny Unitas is his uncle.
Right.
Wait,
And then
wait. The Colts were from Baltimore?
Yeah.
How the hell does that make any sense?
Baltimore Colts.
Baltimore Colts.
It's not even like a cowboy town.
Well, I'm not the only
I knew
one.
that.
No.
It was and they were known for their horses for racing. That's the reason. That's where they got their name from.
Yeah.
I know Joel would have told
calm
us that in
down.
a second, but yeah.
Damn it. I got
Indianapolis had cowboys?
the Olympics happened that year. Elway left Baltimore.
So
that year.
this kind of correlates with what we had happen in the terminal. So the things we know from this week that were pretty identical, right? Was that we had someone just leave in the middle of the night, and when they did, they dropped off one of their trailers. Ooh. They also had their employee drop off the trailer after deadheading to drop off the second reefer. It obviously infuriated our Johnny Unitas, our dispatch team in our office, as we were given no notice, and it was a middle of the night departure. With no one knowing, we just walk up to track hours of service and try to figure out what people are doing and where we have to redeliver loads. left with a little bit of a bill. And then obviously collections are going to have to be made the same way that Baltimore and Indianapolis got involved. So I guess the reason I want to talk about is, and I know, Russ, you invest in people.
Yeah.
And Mike, you do the same thing. I know I just had a conversation with someone that you're working with right now. And it's an altruistic behavior a lot of times, because in this industry, so many people have gotten burned. And it's really, there's not a lot of people that figure they want to put something out there without a really large gain behind it.
There is, you run that risk. You can and probably will get burned.
Yes. So you try to take calculated risks. And the gentleman that we were talking about had 2 years of service here. He had 2 trucks, both of which we put the down payment on, the deposit. The first one was paid back, no issue. The second one happened just a month ago. He was referred by a driver. He has since referred drivers here that still works here. Wesley Rolls is one of them. He was making between $3,000 to $5,000 a week every week. We always advocated for the best decisions for him, regardless of what it was for our office. And they actually his driver got to know my wife and kids. We went to church together, and he's spent some time over at my house. It's not that you leave. It's not what you do. But guys that are thinking about leaving, it's usually this time around taxes that it happens. It's how you do it. You know, treat the companies and the people you work with the same respect that you expect to have others. And understand that when you're making a business decision, know your business. Unfortunately, and I think he'll come to find this out over a while, that he took the common denominator of his problems with him. When we'll cover that in a second. Whoops, I should have taken out those parentheses. But essentially, when you make more money, it can create more problems because it's a false sense of security. And here, there were some unwise business decisions made by this owner. He spent a lot of money on women. I don't mean like that. I mean, he would buy them things and get them things. Had a lot of toys and cars, and he helped out a lot of his family who refused to work, which is fine, except we're in an industry right now where there's a lot of national back orders, and there's a lot of parts that you can't get a hold of. And so when that happens and your truck is down, you now don't have revenue, and you need to take your previous revenue to pay for those expenses that are still coming in the door.
Can I comment on that point?
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Mike, you're going to know exactly who I'm talking about on our fleet. But we had a driver with a truck, a newer truck, a full service lease truck, and he's averaged about, I don't know, $2,500 with a full service lease truck with, the payments are $980 a week.
Yep.
That's what he's taking home every week, week in, week out, and he's gotten home on the weekend probably 99% of the time.
Nice.
Lives in the Southeast, and he had his truck was in the shop, to make a long story short, and we got him in a subunit, and he didn't lose anything. He got in the subunit and got to keep rolling. And then when his truck was fixed, he was headed back. The subunit broke down, some kind of minor thing, a new truck.
Yep.
And it was over a weekend, and he couldn't afford to get a flight, a one-way flight. Just all he had to do is just leave the truck at the Peterbilt, jump on a plane 3 states over, and get in your truck. It's ready to go. And I told Mike, I can't wrap my head around someone who's made taking home $100,000 a year, and doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together to get a couple $100 flight to get you back to your truck when you're the owner operator.
Yep.
I mean, and then turn it around on us and Meadowlark and point the finger and say, you guys should do that for me. No, you're not a company driver. And I couldn't, it blew my mind. And Mike, I told you that.
Yeah.
You felt the same way. I don't know. So I brought that up on the exact same point.
Yeah. And it's sad too. I think, saving is a hard principle. I know we've discussed it before. And this comes with a little bit of vengeance because it's just disappointing. The actions of someone and how you conduct yourself versus those. I mean, I remember when he came here. I remember the situation he was in. Outside of a pickup truck, didn't have much. We talked about the different dispatchers, and he was referred by a previous driver who's since passed away. And he just said, hey, look, whatever it is. And this last time we met a month ago, and I covered $6,000 worth of repairs right down the road, $3,000 worth of repairs at Excel to put his truck when he had a national back order. The repair shop right down the road found the part, got it in. He's like, I need this money in order to get this truck on the road. I've got another driver. So they're kind of teaming. I lent him one of our loaner trucks here on the yard just so he could create revenue.
Trying to help.
just trying to help. And unfortunately, sometimes when you help so much, you enable, and it ends up hurting because there's no accountability, and you are the stabilizers.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when that happens, it becomes shaky ground, and so they don't know how to handle the conflict that they have. So this last one is true. Don't be a coward. You know, we're in a very blue collar industry many times. I know Henry Albert talked about it, how they used to have ties and collars, and you know how Convoy kind of ruined that reputation. But at the end of the day, when you give a man your word and you look him in the eye, live up to it, or at least have the decency to go and have a conversation. And that's the only thing I had asked when I had provided him the money to make sure that he took care of his home and his family and his situation. And so I passed the baton and tried to make sure that we did right by him. And at the end of the day, he cut and runs, and that says more about his character. We'll get the money back. That's not an issue.
Right.
It'll be dragging him down to do it. So
well, I've said it, Christian. You know, on many occasions with guys. Mike's heard me on a three-way call with somebody that, and you know, we can part friends. You know, someone that wasn't even talking about quitting at that time.
Yeah.
But I told him, you know, hey, it sounded like they were going or thinking about that, and I just brought it up to him. We can part friends. We're not a perfect fit for everybody.
Yep.
You know, we are who we are, and we're going to be honest with you, and we're going to help you. We expect the same in return. But you know, let's face it, not everybody's a perfect fit for every company or our company. And you're exactly right. Don't be a coward. Let's just be a man about it and say, hey, this isn't a good fit for me. Here's a notice.
Yeah, and sometimes people, and we've had it several times where someone has left and they found out the grass isn't greener or how well they had it and said, look, man, and we do. And they're the biggest advocates. They're the ones that refer the most drivers and speak so highly and understand the value of what we do on delivering service. But when you leave like this, the door's shut. It's barred shut. And it's, you know, at the end of the day, when someone leaves and takes that money away, that takes away from everyone else. I've got another gentleman that wants some help with down payment assistance, and we do help them come in the door. That's what we're here to do. This is our mission field. That's the way we feel about it here. But when these incidents happen, I don't lose sleep at night. But when something like this is, it feels like somebody stole. Someone did. They stole from me and they left, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So I do wish him all the success in the world. But this may be a really hard lesson for him to understand and hear. But I hope he hears it one time and deals with it. And, you know, he took his baggage with him. And so, unfortunately, he's going to be back in the situation again. And as we talked about before, facts are our friends. So I thought I'd bring up a cute little calendar here that talks about the time that happened from when he really started to feel the crunch, the last couple of weeks. And the blues about the give or take about the time, maybe a week before, when I ended up providing him the money to get a second truck up on the road. And so driver A is the main driver that owns both trucks, and he has a co-driver that's in the truck. And so this is February and March. What we'll see ultimately is we have a 52% occupancy for the month from the days we measured. And then the same thing for the entire month of March. We have 37% for the gentleman that owns the trucks. Almost identical to that, his co-driver drove 52% of the month. That's home every other day if he just would have planned it properly instead of being on the road and taking time off. And then 47%. What we find out is that even during this period of time that we find ourselves directional. We talked about cutting off the map, right? When you're not expanding the market and you're doing it at a time when fuel's going through the roof and you're deciding to go home more often, complain about the bills that you can't pay while you're lending money out to people that won't pay it back. Coincidentally, that's where I'm at the same time. But so, you know, there they are, right home Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leave out Sunday for a Monday delivery or Tuesday delivery. And then Michigan and North Carolina. That's where they wanted to come back and deadhead to be a team. While they're out as a team, they said they broke down. One day they said they were waiting for a pair of sunglasses to come in. I mean, we start thinking about, are we prioritizing our business? I know it sounds funny. It sounds absolutely hilarious until it's a veterinary visit, you know, for a dog that you want to buy or something else. You know, reserve your time off for the most effective time so you can get out there and make money. But this was it. So it was sunglasses. And the following month, we routed him down to Virginia to get back in his own truck to get him away from a team. Then he went home. Then he broke down, leaving a shipper, basically had to take the freight back, get it off his trailer. And then that was pretty much it for the week. And the following week, he just said, fine, I'm just going to go home. And then when he finally came out, he used our fuel card to drive on down here from Michigan and drop it off. And that's the Baltimore Colts right there, right on the 18th. Yeah. And so then we had to go ahead and repower and deliver his load back up into Northern Virginia because his co-driver thought, or his company driver, that he thought would be a really good idea to drop that freight on our yard. Now, it was secure. The bill ladings were in the box. I give them credit for that, so we don't have a claim. Outside of that, it was the biggest bonehead move that we've had, because we treat people the way we want to be treated. We don't get this kind of feedback ever.
Yeah.
And I know
Hey,
some
Russ.
people, do more often.
Did Art Modell do that also?
Yeah, Art Modell did that with the
Same
Cleveland
thing.
Browns in 1998.
Eight?
Yeah, I think it was 98, and they came back in 99. They left in
Took
the
off.
middle of the night. The Browns moved out of Cleveland, and the city ended up, same kind of story, Christian. The city of Cleveland, the mayor, Michael White, at the time, sued the NFL for the name and the colors back because it was historic, and we won, and we got it. And that's why the Browns came back in 99. So
Really?
Needless to say, to this driver, you can do things like this just like the Browns did or the Colts did, but it can come back and haunt you. And it's kind of the old saying or whatever, do unto others as you'd have them do to you.
Yep.
My parents taught me that, and I've been burnt too. But I always like to say, and I've done this, take the high road, because it's never let me down yet. I'll take the high road. I won't look back. I'm not going to get angry about it. Maybe for a minute, but I'm not going to live with it. And the best revenge is to live well, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, I feel like I'm here drinking poison, hoping something's going to happen to them as I'm getting frustrated. It's a financial hit. So now it's like, okay, now I'm going to light up an attorney. We're going to end up going the legal route, as opposed to if you just walked him off and said, here's what's happening, right? We can walk, and I could walk through the examples of why you're failing and how you have an anchor as a co-driver who goes to the house and stays at the house and doesn't deliver on time.
Mm-hmm.
And completely is just, you can't make 2 truck payments when your truck's the only one moving. And then when you go home, expect for both of them to get paid. It just doesn't happen. But if we would have had that conversation, I'm okay. I want guys to better themselves, whether it's here or anywhere else. And we've had that conversation when we've had a guy that hasn't worked out for our terminal and he's been fruitful at yours, or vice versa. The goal is that they're successful, because ultimately, if we're looking after their success, then ours will be taken care of. But so they have an overall 47% average occupancy. Woo. Wow, we're killing it. So if you haven't figured out the math yet, if you want to lose your truck and everything you have, continue to drive like this.
There's your sign.
Yeah, because Panther, right, there's your sign. Because Panther's not going to be able to fix it for you, or whoever else you want to go to.
Right.
And lastly, if you ever decide to deal with someone that provides you the fortitude to put you into a truck, to take money out of their wallet and place it in yours in good faith, make sure that you understand that your last name is not something you're willing to break over a commitment and a handshake. Now, any money that we end up having that we allocate out of our business to help as an incubator for those that are in this industry that are company drivers for 10 years and want to try to be an owner operator, or maybe they got taken advantage of and they want to get back in the industry, we're all about it. We're 100% about making sure that we can elevate people in their game, and we have a winning recipe for it. And we typically hand out the money that we know that we can live without, because that's the only sound business principle. It doesn't mean that we choose to live without it. It means that we can. But when you borrow money, you should always have the intent to pay it back, or just say no and go live your life as hard as it was when you showed up here several years ago.
I will say that the guys on the show, our drivers that are on the show, Kevin, Ray, Jim Mackey, and Nate, Christian, we've been through the same things. Me and Mike just went through it recently when we had to let someone go, and I told you about another incident. But over the years, I've seen it. I've been burnt, and it stings. And that's when I do look at and lean on the guys that are on this show, and then many more on our fleet that do it right. That, I've helped guys. Mike's helped guys get in trucks with repairs, you name it. But it's the stand-up guys like Ray, Kevin, Nate, Jim Mackey, and so many more on our fleet that go out, do their part, and benefit from the help they've gotten and appreciate it. And those are the guys that I lean on when someone treats me like that. You know, so we got to focus on that's why I say I just take the high road and look and just keep on trucking, man. Keep looking, keep going. And, let my attorney work it out.
Yeah, and generally I don't get stuck on like this, but it's just this one's stuck in my car. Air horn, sorry. I was so good, it didn't happen the whole time.
I know, he warned us. There was an air horn coming.
I was going to come see you too, God.
And Mike,
I said dipstick. It's a trucking show. So, in case anybody...
Well, it's so true. I think as small business owners, and I think a lot of guys, I said this before, still kind of look at it as a company driver mentality, or just think they can spend more money or take more time off. But usually it's the opposite. When you're running your own show, you got to work more.
Yeah.
You know, or go home more and just be happy with the money you're making.
Right.
Either
There's
way.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Just understand that there may be a long-term consequence that you don't see coming with a $50,000 motor downstream, right?
Well, another thing too, if you went and opened a brick and mortar store and that was your livelihood and you have to support your family on that, would you open it only 47% of the time if that was your only income?
Wow. That's eye-opening.
I mean, and that's how I've always looked at trucking.
Yes.
I wouldn't raise, well, other than a bait shop.
Well, hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to put a cot in the back so my kids can live there. What are you talking about?
I'm only messing with you, Mike. Because Mike,
I'm trying to be open 100% of the time.
I know.
There.
So Mike bought that.
Move in.
If just in
I'm
case.
open 47% of the time.
Yeah, well, Ray is, and he's in the pool the rest. But no, Mike bought the bait shop, and I understand Mike's sons who are in their early 20s, they're running it. But the bait shop has only been open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from the previous owner, right, Mike? That's all they were open.
Yeah,
and
right. Trucking is literally supporting it right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not Mike's income; it's not his job; it's his son's, and I'm only messing with him. But no, that's a great way to look at it, and I've always looked at it that way. If you opened a brick and mortar store and that's how you had to support your family, I mean, I would, if I wasn't there, I'd have somebody there keeping it open so that money can keep coming in.
That's smart.
And how do you do it? 47 or 37%, whatever that occupancy was, you just can't.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, we're going, 7 days a week, starting the 4th over there, April 4th. But I was there yesterday for a meeting I was just there for about an hour, and I was waiting on the guy to get there, and the kids had ran to Home Depot for something, and I had like 3 customers come and knock on the door. I let them in and sold. I said, "What do you guys need? We're closed, but I'll take care of you." And I got 3 new customers that they were like, "Oh man, really?" And one only wanted a dozen shrimp, so I just gave them, a dozen shrimp. But that's literally $4 that, and I got a customer for life, or something like that. They were appreciative and. But
Christian, I've been teasing Mike because he gets his sons get this shipment of I don't know how many shrimp, big jumbo shrimp, and they're alive, and they got them in tanks in the back. Yeah. And I told him the days he's off, they should be making shrimp po' boys on selling them out the side window.
Yeah, you can sell a dozen for $12 or sell 6 for $24. It seems like the deal is a sandwich.
We're gonna have a food truck out the back slinging fried shrimp baskets.
I'd like to add something to this conversation as well.
Fried fish.
Go ahead, Ray. This is good.
Yeah. So one of the things that I see a lot going on out here is you'll get brand new owner operators, right? They get a truck, and you know that whenever you first start, you really gotta put away that money. Like Christian says, I agree with you 100% on that. But one thing I see is you got guys putting in brand new stereo systems, subwoofers, chrome on their truck. They're spending all their money on chrome, and the old saying, "Chrome don't get you home." I mean, and I can't wrap my head around that because people are willing to put their money into the looks of the truck before they actually have a bank account.
Yeah, Ray, that reminds me of a driver that you and I know. He had gotten in advance to get those little plastic spikes that go on your
when he got the advance, we didn't know that's what it was for until
found out afterwards.
Facebook, that's what he did.
Yeah, actually, I think Ray, I think you might have told me that. I was like, hey, that's what he actually spent it on.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of chrome on my truck.
He's been long.
Hi, Nick.
And he'll deny that ever happened. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that so I don't put a whole lot of chrome on my truck. But here's my rule of thumb, and I tell this to everybody I know. If something breaks on your truck, half the times for you to go to the dealership and buy it and replace it, if you can find it at the chrome shop, it's going to look prettier and probably cost the same, if not cheaper. So, when something breaks, you need an upgrade, then hey, nothing wrong with that. But, people are swapping out perfectly good parts. I'd wait for them to rust out or whatever before you swap them out for chrome.
I think the moral of the story here is, and we're all coming together right down the same path, is, this is a job. And if whether you're, a company driver, an owner operator, or whatever, financially, you got to put money away for your family or for your truck or whatever. And it doesn't work if you only work 47% of your work week.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for any position you're in.
Well, and by the way, he did an exceptional job. I'll give him credit of running his house bills to almost nothing. I mean, his requirement at the house is like $500, $400 or $500 a week, plus his truck payment. It was next to nothing. So, you do a little bit of an analysis when you end up delegating or handing out money and saying, hey, look, this is to help you out. And we did. We sat down, a pen and paper. I built an Excel spreadsheet to help him do a load by load analysis, with what the profits were and put his expenses and revenues in. And then you just come to find out that it's not what your expenses are. It's also your charity. And I'm all about it. If my brother ran through a hard time, I get it. But if he's refusing to work or there's an issue, I'm not making that donation there. You've got to want to work for your money the same way I am. And people knock on your doors. That's the more money, more problems. BIG was right. When you make money, people start showing up. Cockroaches come around the daylight when there's food. So I think at the end of the day, you keep your personal business to yourself. If you're making a ton of money, that's great. Celebrate your success, but you don't have to share it with everybody that comes around as a fair weather friend.
100%. I agree with you, Christian. Is that rain?
Yep.
It's pouring here. Do you hear
is
that?
pouring.
You can
Power
hear it through
might
the
go
mics.
out again.
So anyway, let's do some trucking questions with Kumar. While you're getting ready,
before the power goes out,
I wanted to tell you I did jump on the DAT today. While we're getting ready to do that, I just wanted a couple quick things because we're watching the price of fuel. It's up about $1.15 higher than it was a month ago. I just wanted to give you the average spot market rates this past week. 77 cents is the fuel surcharge, so this is before fuel surcharge. We do break fuel surcharge out on our fleet, on Dawson Fleet at Meadowlark here. So flats, 268 plus fuel, vans 243 plus fuel, and reefer 275 plus fuel. That's last week from the DAT. Van flats are a little down, but it's kind of steady. And it's seasonally, it's going to pick up. But the van and reefers are down 13 cents, but up 9 cents per mile versus same week last year, which I thought was kind of interesting. And like I said, fuel $1.15 over the last month, highest increase ever. But we are seeing some flattening in fuel prices across the country.
Yep.
And then so that we hope that, and I watched, there was a guy from ATBS that was on the DAT webinar this week. He was very knowledgeable, and my takeaway from what he said, and I forgot his name, but it was really good about the fuel. It was basically the same thing we talked about a week or two ago. And that the trucking market's in a little bit of a shock because one thing he said was really cool that I thought was, he said, we're walking into customers and trying to justify how much we've been charging for freight for the last few years, and they're like, I'm not worried about the rate. Can you give me trucks? Can you guarantee me capacity? And so now there's that we're talking about fuel and the price a little bit, but they're still screaming for trucks. The volume is still there. And so, his takeaway was that, things will settle down, in his opinion, which I thought was really interesting. It's kind of my opinion, too. I think it's just, with this whole Ukraine war thing, no one really knows where that's going with the fuel prices. But like everybody's been saying, we haven't changed anything we've been doing with fuel. So when that war started, which is kind of funny, or not funny, but interesting, and the prices jumped up. But anyway.
I wish we had an indicator that showed the margin on average, a market margin average for brokers, because I know in several that I've talked to, they've increased their margins $100 to $200 per load. And if that's your average per load, just imagine some of the swings and some of the hits they're making. So I mean, we cannot stress it enough to continue to be the firewall and don't take cheap freight, because this thing, if one car lot has a bunch of cars, or nobody has any cars, let's assume it's like freight, right? Nobody has any cars, and the guy across the street discounts his. I'm not going to discount mine because I have There's more buyers than there are automobiles out there. So why would this model be any different? Why, if we are in control, we have more freight than we do trucks, why would we lower our prices, especially when costs are increasing?
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's what we'll do is we'll put some pen and paper together, talk about the true cost increase. It's happening here at Meadowlark. It's happening at Dawson. It's happening everywhere where trailer rental prices are going through the roof because the cost of materials, production costs, and schedules. So why would we lessen the value that we have out there on the road? Who else wants to go out for the road for 2 weeks and work for a living and have to have impeccable driving record and sit out with all the circumstances of the economy? Nobody else wants to do it.
They also said,
aren't a lot of contracted rates. They're like, for example, the rates that Russ just read, 277 plus fuel. So aren't a lot of contracted rates that they're getting that fuel surcharge on those contracted rates. But
you bid it that way, yeah.
Right. So what I'm getting at is that 6 months ago they were $3 a mile for that load, whereas now they're getting $3.20, $3.30 a mile for that load, but they're still paying $3 a mile. So is that where they
correct, and that's where the margins go in their pocket, or just because of capacity, they say, hey, I can tell that I can negotiate this market better. So we have a customer we take a little bit more freight from, and we just know that, hey, we may, and there are times where we're going to have to give away some margin and keep it, but we have guys that we use on the regular that we do still try to keep the consistent market rate. We're not looking to beat them up when fuel goes up to pay them less. I don't care what the market does. We learned our lesson during COVID. We tried to keep some loyal carriers on. During the 30-day downturn, we kept our rates. We're probably paying more rates than anybody else out there, and it sounded asinine. And it's like, okay, hey, you see us through this storm. If it goes the other way, we'll see it. And a lot of carriers bailed, and I don't blame them. Because if we weren't paying enough money when things started to trickle up, they've got to go somewhere else and make the market money. I get that. It's difficult to see the rates go up and see all of the costs go up and see the rates end up dropping this past week. And knowing brokers and calling people that we're in communication with and say, yeah, our margins are increasing. And now they're still paying us the same or a little bit more on some of our lanes when we can get there. Because like you said, like you have your established relationships, we have the same.
Just like Mike today, we were booking a truck together. Well, he had something, and then it canceled at the last minute, and we got a $250 tonneau. And then Mike had to leave to run out, and he asked me can I look for another load? He's almost empty. So that was good, Mike. We got the tonneau. That was great. And then, but the lane we were trying to put him in to get him to a customer load, which we were sending several guys there, and we are trying to lean on that more. But that lane, I couldn't, the money wasn't there. I mean, and it wasn't like $1 a mile. I mean, it was like $2 grand for 700 miles, 750 miles, maybe 800 miles. But I couldn't get anything out of there. So I thought outside the box. And instead of going to South Carolina, I went to Jacksonville, which is, I know it's Florida, but it's right there by Georgia. And got 3,400, and he'll be empty Friday. And I'll take my chances on that. I mean, that's for an extra couple hundred miles extra for, I was not getting to this afternoon on that lane we were trying for. So we went a couple hundred miles longer and got 1,400 more at least. So I'll work my way up. We'll work together on that Friday. But I also thought we have some customer loads coming out of that area too. So I thought we might get lucky and be able to sneak in one of those, and we're sitting good. But that's the thing too. We've been running shorter. We've been running slower. I know we got slammed by some haters on some TikToks. It was funny, but
I'd be glad to take any of them on a microphone any day.
It was great. 18,000 people watched that TikTok we talked about fuel.
Yeah,
or is it up to 20,000?
27 between the last two clips. And
and we had about 100 people that kind of we had a few haters. Even Nikki texted me. She goes, "I love it. I love the haters." And all of them, it was just hey, I appreciate your feedback and stuff. They didn't disagree. They disagree with us about slowing down and different things like that.
Yeah, $5 a mile, or I sit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? 100. I wouldn't run 100 miles. I'm not running that for $5 a mile. I need more, way more.
Yeah.
So it's all relative.
Right. Yeah, I know exactly. I love the people that get into that. Oh, I get $8 a mile. Okay, well,
how many miles?
6 hours at the shipper.
100 miles. So I wouldn't load my truck for less than $1,200 right now. So
right? We're not trying to tell people how to run their business or anything. We're telling you how we're running our businesses, our fleets. And we're just being honest with you that we know if you slow down the truck, the fuel went up in a month, $1.15 a gallon. Christian, you got a calculator?
Yeah,
so
I do.
If you ran 2,500 miles divided by 6 miles to the gallon, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many gallons is that?
415. 416.
Okay, so times $1.15.
Where do you get to $1.15?
That's how much fuels went up in a month. So an extra $1.15 a gallon is what you're paying before everybody started griping about rates. So
a whole would be $1.15 would be 115%. So it's another $470.
$470. So guess what? Our price of doing business each week as a single truck or a driver just went up $470 in fuel. So you got to think about what Christian said, what Mike said, and I said on the last show, just slowing down, like Henry Albert said. If you can save by going 62 to 65, if you can save $250 a week.
Well, and let me interrupt real quick because I think some of them like to watch the TikTok, but they don't watch the show. Because if they watch 3 previous episodes, Henry and we all said, hey, if you're not going to make another delivery or if you're not going to lose revenue, you should do this. If you're going to lose a load or you're going to lose revenue, don't slow down. It's not worth saving, you know. It's a cost justification. Yeah.
But, you know, so the price of fuel went up, guys. Everybody knows it. Everybody's talking about it. It's another $400. Your cost of doing business is $470 a week. But, Christian, I know on your fleet and I know on my fleet, we got guys making, I'm just going to say, because some guys run different and they're home every weekend, I'm going to say $2,000 to $6,000 a week take home. That's that's the range, okay? So even on the low end, which will probably sting you a little bit more, but when a guy tells me that I can't make a living because of the price of fuel, if the fuel went up, it costs you another $470 a week. And so if let's say you were in the median, if you were in the middle, you went from $3,500 to $3,000. You can't make it on $3,000. I'm sorry, I just don't get that.
And we're such a micro facet of the entire industry. Like people say, I'm a rural trucker. I get it, and you're right, but. Or even transportation, even trucking is such a small facet. I mean, you have the Future of Freightwaves conference May 5th through 9th or whatever, 7th, 8th, 9th or whatever it is in May. Like, you know, you have rail, you have flights, you have capacity, you have containers. There's so much, you know, last mile deliveries.
Right.
There's so much in this industry. And so we're not here to tell anybody how to do their job. But in our specific facet through the 60 years experience on the microphones here, this is what we found out to be a successful recipe. And it's not the same for everybody. I love reading through the comments and trying to find out, okay, what is it that they do in this industry that could be so different that a $400 difference in fuel or $800 if it's risen this, you know, over a longer period of time since this time last year of $1.70 difference year over year, right? What is it they are doing or what are they driving? Because I have an 18-speed Kenworth with a flat nose getting 4.5 to 5.2 miles a gallon. If they're getting less fuel mileage than that, I'd love to see it. And I'd love to have, and by the way, call in or write into the show. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and that's just my whole point is, you know, okay, we do have a rise in our fixed cost, which is our fuel. Well, it's a variable cost, but, you know, we're going to pay another $470 a week. So if I, on my trucks, on our fleet, if I can slow down 10 miles an hour instead of running 75 and run 65, and I can save $250 doing that, then that makes that 470 270 or I don't know.
Well, and in case this becomes a TikTok clip, right? We're gonna re-reference something, which is unless it takes revenue out of your pocket, you can lower your expense when it doesn't lower your revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, we did the math on it too last week or the week before that. I mean, I think it's even more than that. So, I mean, even if you're at, let's say,
I think it is more
over the past, you know, whatever it is, 6 months, you're up $800, you know, $850 a week in expenses just in fuel. You can pretty much cut that in half just by slowing down. If you don't need to be somewhere, you know, if you're not going to lose revenue or lose another load.
It came out to 20. I think it was 23 cents a mile. I think it was 23 cents a mile if you slowed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have like another.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
I always run 70 mile an hour before. Fuel cost went up to $5. I dropped it back to about 64. And the one thing I have noticed, I don't have numbers in front of me, but I have noticed that I am not stopping for fuel nearly as much.
Yeah.
I used to fuel every day. Now I'll skip a day once in a while, and I'm running the same miles. I'm going the same everything, but I'm not using and spending. Well, I shouldn't say spending, because I am spending the same amount, but I'm not using as much fuel.
So you have more in your tank.
And the bottom line comes down to where I'm at the same income level as I was a month ago. It's just that I'm not using as much fuel.
Right. And obviously that makes sense because the fuel price went up. So, but your income is stayed the same, and you've cut back your speed, so it really hasn't cost you yet, or not. No, it's not costing you because of that.
Cost me.
Because of that adjustment. The guy that it doesn't help, and I'll be honest, Ray rolls as slow as he needs to go to get to where he needs to be on time long before the fuel jumped up. So it's hard for him to slow it down anymore to save a little more. So he's going to see a little uptick in what he's spending in his fuel, and he's going to see a little bit less on his bottom line. Isn't that right, Ray?
Yeah, I'm going to drive in 7th gear doing 45 miles an hour.
Nice.
That helps.
Nice.
I think that's counterproductive.
He only wants loads that go downhill. That's what light loads that go downhill.
Yeah. That's absolutely right, man. I've been slow, and there are my loads where I do pick up the speed a little bit. If I'm headed home, I tend to drive a little faster, and that's a bad habit of mine. But it is what it is, But yeah, I mean, I do try to slow down as much as I can. It's gonna save you some money, though. I mean, I like what Kevin Rutherford always says. It's physics. You can't say that by driving 80 miles an hour down the road you're gonna save. You get better fuel mileage. I mean, it goes against all physics. So
yeah.
My company driver gained about 2 to 3 miles per gallon by just slowing down from 75 to 65. So.
Yeah,
that's huge.
It works every time.
I know.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, like, a lot of people also brought up, like, say you have an appointment in the morning. They say, hurry up, get there, so that in the morning their hours are fresh. What do you guys think of that?
Well, it really, I guess it would be load to load, but I don't, I'm not going to go 75 so I can get there and sleep for a 10-hour break. And
I think it depends on the market. We talked about this about 10 episodes ago. If it's a hot market versus a cold market, we talked about what was the most important day, and Doty said Friday, and I think I said Monday. Yeah. Because if you're there on Monday with hours ready to go, you're not going to lose that time as the week goes on. I do believe in being there and being fresh and being on site. If they have a place to park, you don't have to start your clock up right away, however you want to do it with your break. You're the first one there. You're the first one unloaded. The guy shows up at 10. There's 10 trucks in front of you. You're going to be there half the day. That's going to cost you a lot as well.
That. I'm with you on that, Christian. And my whole point is this. When I was on the road, I didn't go 75. I went 65 at the most, maybe 68 here and there. I mean, I'm not saying I never went 75, but for the most part. And I didn't stop. We didn't have a half-hour break, so we could roll 11 hours, and Joel and I did. And like I've said that many times on the show, we used to compete, and we'd be calling each other and seeing how many miles we had for the day, and so we just ran. We stayed on the road. I never had a problem like being late for a load, or typically you can get to a. Just every load's different, but I guess what I'm saying is, if I'm planning my trip when I get a load to arrive at my shipper the night before, I'm planning that at 65 miles an hour or 62 miles an hour. That's how I was planning my trip. Yeah. So to go 75 when I know I can make it there the same, that night before, to go 75 that whole way, it doesn't make sense in my head. Right. And it's same with what Henry Albert said, But if I know, I need to be there, I gotta, I'm gonna be, or I'm bumping, something happened and I'm gonna be late. Yeah, I'm gonna speed. I'm gonna go fast, not speed over the speed limit, but go faster. Then I'm not gonna worry so much about the fuel.
So if you want to troll social media, what I'm gonna ask is you leave some finite details in there, and then just make sure that you don't have a problem contacting you, maybe having on the show. I mean, the only way that our knowledge base grows is like a sponge, right? We have to take what we have and transfer it to somebody else and vice versa. So, don't just leave a hating comment, you suck. Okay, well, I appreciate that. Yes, a lot of people probably would agree with that, but no, it's not factual. So I would say, leave some details behind it and let's have an engaging conversation. You want to go troll somebody? There's plenty of Swift sites that show their trucks and trailers being beaten up.
Well, and by the way, I'm sitting up here preaching slow down, but I drove 75 everywhere too. So, what's that?
Good job, hypocrite.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, if you want to save some money, slow down a little bit.
And that's
not worried about it.
And that's the bottom line. We're not telling you how to run your business, but we're telling you how we're running our business. And this is what we're doing. And this is what we believe will save you, especially when fuel's at $5 or more. So that's all.
I got one more tip.
Yeah.
I've been riding my 80 mile per hour or 80 miles a gallon dirt bike to work, and been saving a bunch of money. So everyone should probably do that as well.
It's raining outside right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that going?
It's I might be sleeping here, but
how's that going?
Yeah.
So somebody had asked a question earlier, like if you go faster so you can get there and park. Was that Ian? Was that you, Ian? Did ask that question?
Was Kumar.
That was Kumar.
That was Kumar. Okay. Hey, I got something that I heard one time, and Christian, maybe you've heard this. I know you kind of like to pull these numbers out. Maybe you can find it. Mm-hmm. But I heard that if you're driving around 70 to 75 miles an hour, your average speed at the end of the day is going to be right around 60 to 62 miles an hour. And with the same sense, if you slowed it down to about 64 to 65 miles an hour, your average speed is right around 61 to 62 miles an hour at the end of the day. And part of the reason for that is because you're fighting traffic at 70, 75 miles an hour. You always got somebody who gets in front of you or passes you up, hits the brakes.
Yeah, you're hurrying up and slowing down.
Counting your slowdowns.
Yeah, you're hurrying up, slowing down. So at the end of the day, your average speed is still roughly about a 1 to 2 mile per hour difference at the end of the day. So, I mean, I kind of wanted to just bring that up because, I mean, that goes back to the question that Kumar asked.
Yeah, that's kind of like when you're at when you're driving down the road and somebody blows by you and then you see them right at the red light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How many times you see? I mean, and you can do
that happens on the road.
Short distance, a different story.
That's the funniest thing about trucking when you're a driver, when you're coming from the West Coast to the East, and you're on like 80 for a long time for days, and you'll see a truck blow by you going 75, 80 miles an hour, and then
every day for the whole week.
Then later in the day, you're pulling into a rest area or something. And that truck's passed you 3 times that day. It's the third time, yeah, and you know because they've stopped, So what I would do as a driver with fuel prices high, I would slow down and I would limit my stops to what I needed. That's just common sense.
And when your trucks are idling, so go ahead, Kev.
I can tell you right now, what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, hauling them containers. I've had to push my truck. I've had to run 75.
Yeah,
and it's costing me, I'd say probably around $800 extra a week in fuel.
Yeah, because you've been pushing it and you normally didn't have to.
Yeah, and you've got to. I've got to doing that in order to get back, so I don't have to. So I have my full clock by the time I'm sitting at the door for 4 or 5 hours trying to get unloaded.
And that tells you something. It's exactly what we're saying. It's
that's the difference, because if you don't do that, you're probably going to lose more than that.
I'd lose a whole load or more a week.
And I understand that. I know the dedicated he's on, and it pays really well, and so he's gonna. It justifies the extra fuel. He has no choice. I get that, and I'm not telling you have to slow down so you can save fuel. You won't. You'll lose one round. It's a round trip too. You'll probably lose one a week, if not.
I mean, it's one of them cases where it goes, you can lose it and make $5,000 a week, bring home, or you can slow down and bring home $3,200 for the week. So
on his case, that's exactly right. And when we, I know we threw a broad net on this, but in general is all we're talking about. If you're able to slow it down and save some money in fuel, then do it. And like Jim Mackey said, he's noticed it. Ray's always been like that. So.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% too.
And let's calculate in idle times too right now, because idling wasn't big when it was half or 3/4 of a gallon of fuel when we had fuel down to $1.70, but now where it's at, and you're idling your truck. You have wear and tear on components, but it's a gallon an hour, 3/4 to a gallon an hour.
I was going to say,
if you don't have an APU. So you figure
zero MPG.
Correct.
And APUs are hard to get right now too.
And they are, but you're spending $5, basically $5 an hour. Just go ahead and have your truck sit there and run. And I'm not saying there's a difference, but if you run, 10 hours
65 degrees also.
Yes. Okay. Well, congratulations. Look, guys, there's winter and summer on both sides of the season, so that's what I was getting at. Don't idle your trucks. Bring a sleeping bag. That's what a lot of guys do. Crank it and enjoy it.
Yeah, you're saving. Let's say you're saving $40 to $50 a night right now, in 10 hours. And if you're one of those guys that's not up in 10 hours getting on the road, it's probably really costing you. But $40-$50 and you're running 5-6 days a week. There's $250 of it right there, $300.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's ways you can offset it. And it kind of made me feel good when I heard those DAT guys in that ATBS. Yeah, whatever. I heard those guys say the same thing we said, a couple weeks ago. And they weren't saying, you guys got to do this. It was just, hey, these are suggestions that we would do.
Yeah.
Or we're telling people.
We appreciate them watching the show.
Yeah. So let's take it out with some trucking questions with Kumar.
All right, Kumar, you ready?
I'm ready.
Drivers, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's roll.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Am I back in Kumar? Is that what we're doing this week?
You got Kumar?
Yeah, I'll take Kumar.
All right.
Yeah, that's cool.
$20 to the St. Christopher Fund. If Kumar wins, I'll pay. And if the drivers, is that how it works? Yeah. Kumar wins, I pay because you got Kumar. If the drivers win, Christian pays $40.
Question 1, Kumar.
Yeah, I heard that. I was texting at the same time.
Okay, let's go.
All right. At what angle do you hold your airline glad hands when connecting them? Is it A, 45 degrees? Is it B, 90 degrees? Is it C, 180 degrees? Or D, it doesn't matter?
So, Kumar.
What angle, Kumar?
When you're connecting your hoses, your airlines to your glad hands.
It doesn't matter.
He says it doesn't matter. Jim Mackey?
I would say 45.
Well, think about it. Ray?
I'm going to...
45, 90, 180, or it doesn't matter.
I'm going to go with 90.
Nate? Kevin?
90. I'd go with 90 also.
Mackey's not good with angles, so that's why I went to the other guy.
Ding, ding, ding.
I don't know. I've been
degrees.
doing it the same way for how many years?
I know, right? It's 90.
You put it up here in that one certain spot,
twist of the wrist.
down.
I was gonna say, don't worry. I was over there holding my hand up, trying to figure out what it was. So. You just do it. You don't think about it.
Well, needless to say, Kumar lost that one because he said it doesn't matter.
We'll
be any angle. But there's a guard on there, so you got to get it in at a 90 to make that turn down.
Okay.
Turn down for what? Turn down. Go ahead, Joel.
Question 2. Air and electrical lines from the tractor to the trailer should be A, pulled tight with very little slack, B, secured but with enough slack for turns, C, resting on the frame of the tractor, or D, neatly coiled. Air and
B,
electrical lines.
Secured, but enough slack for turns.
So what were the other answers, Joel? Read them one more time.
What was the question?
Air and electrical lines from the tractor to the trailer should be A, pulled tight with very little slack, B, secured but with enough slack for turns,
Yeah.
C, resting on the frame of the tractor, or D, neatly coiled.
What do you say, guys? Drivers?
I think that he's right.
I think
secured with enough slack to make a turn.
I think he's right too.
Ding, ding, ding. 1-1.
I got it. 1-1.
We could say they should be secured neatly with enough slack to make turns.
You could, but Joel wrote it, so.
I'm just glad he can read his own writing.
DOT officer.
I know. I didn't have these typed up and printed for him. So I asked him. I'm like, "You sure you can read your handwriting?" He
almost.
goes, "Oh, yeah, I got it."
I had to do it 3 times, but All right, question 3. What is a pull-up? Is it A, when pulling off the shoulder, pulling up until the trailer is straight? Or is it B, pulling forward while backing a trailer to reposition it? Is it C, a maneuver performed by a tow truck to pick up an overturned truck?
So, Kumar, what is a pull-up?
B.
B, which was?
Pulling forward while backing a trailer to reposition it.
You guys agree with that or no?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah.
That's 2-1.
2-1.
What is it, 20 in the Marine Corps?
See?
I thought
I was waiting for the Marine Corps comment.
Yeah.
I was hoping he would go with the tow truck one, but you pull up when you're trying to get back into a dock or something. Just get your truck right, your truck and trailer right.
All right, 2-1. Good job. Ready? Question 4. True or false? Electric power trucks were invented in the 20th century.
Electric power trucks?
Electric powered.
Were they invented in
trucks.
the 20th century, the 21st century? When were electric, true or false? Electric power trucks were invented in the 20th century.
I'm going to go with true.
You say so in the 20th century?
Yeah.
So,
ding, ding, ding.
That's correct.
All right. Electric power trucks were invented in the 1911 Walker truck ran on 10 large cell batteries. You remember that, Jim? 50 miles on one charge.
You remember that?
1907 to 1942.
There's actually an electric powered truck sitting at the truck museum in Wilcott.
Oh, is there?
Yep.
Wilcott. Where's that?
Iowa.
Iowa.
That's Iowa 80.
Okay. Question 5. Kumar, you there?
Kumar's got a 3-1 lead here, so it looks
All right, Kumar.
I might be paying.
What can you use in place of DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, during an emergency? Is it A? Is it urine? Is it B? Is it synthetic ammoniated water, aka windshield washer fluid? Or is it C, rubbing alcohol, or D, beer?
I'm gonna have to go with the urine.
Kumar wants to pee in the tank.
Drivers, so if you ran out of DEF, couldn't get it, it's urine or is it windshield washer fluid,
rubbing alcohol or beer? What could you use?
Urine.
I'm going to say urine.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Wow.
Well, that's windshield washer fluid. Don't pee in your tank.
Yeah, I might have told Kumar before that it's just cow piss. So
yeah, I definitely heard it before.
Kumar was going to try it.
All right. So nobody got that
3-2.
one.
We need.
That's 3-1.
Well,
you got another question? You can give it, Joel.
All right, here we go. Kumar, what is a dragon wagon? Is it A, truck with a flame paint job? Is it B, a dragon transport truck? Is it C, a trailer that has brakes that won't release? Or is it D, a tow truck? What is a dragon wagon?
There are two good answers here.
All right, we'll pick one.
I'll go with tow truck.
Well, that flame was pretty good.
Towmater, he says.
Towmater.
All right,
drivers.
What?
I know this one.
Drivers, a dragon wagon. Is it a tow truck? Is it a truck that has a trailer that the brakes are stuck? Is it? I don't know what your other two.
Is it a truck with a flame paint job?
I swear, if it's C, I'm gonna.
Or is it dragon transport?
I'm gonna go with truck pulling a trailer that the brakes are dragging.
Yeah, I'm there too.
Well, I can't. Yeah, it's a tow truck.
Oh, yes. I thought I was totally wrong on that.
Well, that's all right. We couldn't have come back from that. I'm really surprised, though. I thought you guys
he
would
put a
have known
whooping
that
on
one.
you guys.
Yeah, he got us this week.
Nice
I
job.
didn't. I actually didn't.
What about 1 week? Kumar was just
I was with the drivers on that, too.
Miss.
I was going to say the trailer that had the brakes stuck.
I thought that was a military type of truck.
So, well, thanks, guys. Thanks for costing me to pay the St. Christopher's Fund this week. Write it down, Kumar. Another
Got
week.
Ian, the rain's picking back up.
So,
it's too close.
Real quick, before we get on out of here, it was really cool having Louis with us. Louis Vasquez, his place, Prime Wellness and Performance in San Antonio, Texas. Check him out. Christian, you got anything else?
I do not. If you changed it to Prime Rib, I'd probably go visit him. Just so.
And what's coming back down?
Doty, you got anything else before we get out of here?
No.
All right, we made it through the rain. No, we didn't lose power.
We didn't either.
Yeah, well, the rain's come, but we didn't lose power.
Tapping on the mic there.
That's Joel. So be sure to what, Kumar?
Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Even if they're mean, I can deal with it.
Yeah. Hate us often.
But no, I love all the comments and views and stuff.
Love
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok, Instagram, MySpace, Xanga,
Spotify.
OnlyFans.
You will work any jobs day or night.
What was that?
I opened the TikTok app and
That's great. Yeah, I think he put one up, Mike. The last one was Mike today, and right after you put it up, I looked. There was like 400 and some.
Yeah,
but the one before that was like what, 5,000 or 6,000?
5,000.
Yeah, I think it's at like 5 now.
And the other one was no, you said it's at 20,000. Yeah, that's where we got the hate mail. But it was only like 90 people or something like that out of 20,000. I can take that. I think it's funny, and I don't read it, guys. So I hear it from Tina. She checks it out right away. She wants to know what everybody's saying, and she tells me.
Oh, I'm constantly refreshing. It's a problem.
And Nikki Bissett texts me, too, about it. She's like, they got the haterade out. I said, yeah, I think it's hilarious.
It's good for business.
Anyway, guys, have a great, safe week, and keep the shiny side up, and we will talk to you next week on Talkin Truckin. No G's.